Hey folks, this is Abel James, and thanks so much for joining us on the Fat Burning Man Show, where we talk about real food and real results. What can entertainment and comedy teach us about the world of health? In today's show, we have a special one with a listener who got in touch with us sometime last year. He has an incredible story. His name is Jeff Beecher. He's become a friend. And long story short, here we go. After years of running Beecher's Madhouse, a vaudeville-inspired theater and variety show that sold out across the country, our friend Jeff found himself weighing in at 440 pounds. In today's show with Jeff, you'll hear his journey of shedding an astonishing 200 plus pounds, as well as losing more than 20 pounds during lockdown, which for a lot of people from a health standpoint anyway, is a terrible nightmare scenario where you're surrounded by shelf-stable junk foods that you know will make you feel better temporarily, even if it means adding a few pounds. A lot of gyms have been closed, as well as outdoor recreation. So there's a lot to learn from someone who's able to succeed in not only losing more than 200 pounds, but also succeeding when many other people are putting on pounds. Getting lean during lockdowns is an inspiring thing. Now, before we get there, I want to share a note that came in from Melanie about a recent episode that we aired with our friend Sean T. Melanie says, "I absolutely loved this show. I really learned so much, and I so appreciate Sean for sharing his personal story in such an honest and loving way. He has a beautiful way of engaging the listener without judgment. Very powerful stuff. So glad you did this, Melanie." Melanie, thank you so much for writing in and sharing this. Honestly, especially recently as I've been a little bit more outspoken and maybe even on the edge, we've been getting a lot of hate, but a lot of love too. And it's been so inspiring hearing from people like you, Melanie, and others. You know who you are, who, I go out on a limb and maybe say something that you may or may not believe in, but then I get flamed or people try to cancel me, and you have my back. And I am so thankful for you, because if you didn't have my back, it can be crushing getting some of this. So in a similar way with Sean and other creators, like, we're all out there right now kind of taking heat for different reasons in different ways. And the more that we can get together and be non-judgmental about what's going down, the more likely it is that we'll succeed and come through this stronger. So when we did that show on ABC TV, My Diet is Better Than Yours, a few years ago, that's when I met Sean T. and his husband Scott in person, and so many other people from the show, Kurt, Jay, Dawn. I've been in touch with many people recently, and it's lovely that these communities continue on. The health nuts, we all have to stick together, and sometimes that means we have to veer outside of the world of health even a little bit, or at least seemingly so in a literal way. But if we dial it all back, I believe that mental health is really the driver of so many of the positive changes in people's lives, or the opposite. So we're going to talk about mental health on today's show as well. But before we get there, it's kind of rough out there. So if you want to help us keep going, there are a few ways that you can do that. One way is by checking out my new book. It's called Designer Babies Still Get Scabies. It's a #1 international bestseller in humor and in poetry as well in different countries. You can find that at designerbabiesbook.com. And also, if you sign up for our new Patreon channel and Patreon page, I give you my new book, Designer Babies, as well as the audiobook for free as part of signing up. You can sign up for our coffee club for as little as $3 a month. I also have a small amount of coaching slots available for people. We have group coaching. So anyway, check all of that out by going to fatburningman.com/tipjar. That's fatburningman.com/tipjar, or you can just go directly to my Patreon page by looking up Abel James on Patreon. And if you're interested in high-quality nutraceuticals and supplementation, then please check out our project, Wild Superfoods. That's at wildsuperfoods.com. We have what we believe is the very best tasting protein powder out there. We call it collagen cocoa. You can have it hot or cold. I'm going to have some right after I finish recording here today. We also have Future Greens. Those of you who are carnivore or going a little heavy on the meat side, maybe you should try out some shelf-stable fruits and veg that taste good that you can mix in water. We like having them around when we're camping, traveling, disaster preparedness, all sorts of things, just daily supplementation in the form of whole food. Future Greens is where it's at. We've also got vitamin D stack, vitamin C. We have adrenal stack, and much more to come. You can find special deals and giveaways that we're running over at wildsuperfoods.com. And of course, you can find over 300 episodes of this show for free without outside advertising over at fatburningman.com. Sign up for our newsletter. I'll send you some free meal plans on the house. And I really appreciate hearing from you. Drop me a line anytime at abel@fatburningman.com. I love hearing from you. All right, on to this very fun show with Mr. Vegas himself, Jeff Beecher. In today's show with Jeff, you'll hear about Jeff's journey to shedding an astounding 200 plus pounds, how Jeff has been able to lose weight even during lockdown, how he's adapting his business from the live theater entertainment to the online thing that we have going now, the unexpected benefits of a group, and tons more. Let's go hang out with Jeff. All right, folks, joining us on the show today is our friend Jeff Beecher. Jeff is best known for being the man behind Beecher's Madhouse, a vaudeville-inspired theater. Once upon a time, to get attention, Jeff snuck into the Rainforest Cafe at the MGM and stripped down to a Speedo before belly flopping into a 10,000-gallon fish tank. He was named the new Mr. Vegas and called the best showman on the strip by Rolling Stone. Most recently, though, Jeff has turned his focus to health. Jeff got in touch with us last year as a fan of the show and filled me in on his journey of dropping over 200 pounds. And on top of that, he's one of the very few unicorns who somehow managed to lose weight during the lockdown. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
So maybe we'll just fill people in a little bit on where you're coming from as a person and an entertainer, and then we'll get into the health thing. But I would like to know eventually, why did you make that transition to the world of health? Because we do need you more than ever.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate it, Abel. And, I was in entertainment. It was a lot of fun, obviously. I was doing it for almost 20 years, and I was in all the coolest hotels at all the coolest times, and I had the show, and it was modern vaudeville. And if you know what vaudeville is?
Yeah, a bit. But I think you should explain it because a lot of the younger people especially, I don't think would.
They don't. So vaudeville is basically live performances, magicians, impersonators, little people. Just there about 120, 150 years ago, vaudeville was before movie theaters, vaudeville was the only thing to do. So it was a big event. People would go out, they go to vaudeville theaters. Then movie theaters then movies started, and instantly out of nowhere, everything just got canceled. So they canceled all the vaudeville shows because all the theater owners said, all right, I can put a screen in, have a projector, and get rid of 50 employees.
Right.
So like that, it was just vaudeville slowly. It was just not even slowly. Instantly, it was dead, and then it slowly dwindled down to nothing. And it took decades, but I brought it back in early 2000s on Broadway. And we made a vaudeville show, a variety show with comedy and magic and music, and you'd sit down like you would at a theater, but you'd be at a cocktail table, and it would be for 1,000 people, and it would be a huge party. And it was a lot of fun. We did it on Broadway. Then we went to Vegas. We did it at the Hard Rock in Vegas. Then the recession hit in 2008. We went on tour. We did 81 cities. We were doing 4,000 or 5,000 person venues.
Wow.
all around the country. Primarily in the Bible Belt, which was a lot of fun.
Really?
Yeah, Louisiana, Biloxi, Mississippi. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And those are crazy shows. And crazy
I cannot
times.
imagine.
Yeah. But with that said, and then we went back to Vegas. Well, actually, first we stopped in Hollywood at the Roosevelt Hotel. That was unbelievable. And by the way, during all these times, I lived in hotels.
Okay.
So you asked me, how did I gain weight? How did I get to 440 pounds at my peak? Well, I was living in hotels and drinking and eating and drinking and eating and gambling and drinking and eating.
But probably not cheap hotels, right? Which is also worth saying. That it's like, just because you're a high roller or whatever doesn't give you a free lunch when it comes to health. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, totally. And it was, I wasn't even, I didn't even think of, I was just thinking about work and running this crazy party / theater group, which was really just a crazy party. It was the craziest time. It was so much fun. So I just didn't care. And I was fat, and it didn't stop me from, having girlfriends and having a social life and having fun. And I just didn't care. And then, but when I started to care was when I reached a point in October of 2014. After being in Hollywood for 5 years, I signed a deal with the MGM, a 20-year contract. And I moved back to Vegas. We had a crazy opening. It was one of the biggest, probably the biggest opening in Vegas history. We had Miley Cyrus was hosting it with me, and Katy Perry was there, Selena Gomez. I mean, we had 40, A-list stars there. And it was just an unbelievable opening for a 500-person theater, And it was great. It was fun. And then just 10 months later, I was at my peak weight of 440 pounds. I started having, I couldn't sleep for a couple days. I was taking a couple sleeping pills to try to get to sleep, and that wasn't even working. The fat was just I was choking on my own fat. It was crazy. So my friends wanted me to get the stomach surgery, and they gave me a fat intervention. And I said, look, let me just go. There's some other things I want to do. Let me just try them out. And I found this vegan place in Florida that a friend of mine went to, and a total life reboot called Hippocrates. And I went to it. Well, I convinced my friends first, and they let me go. And I had my right-hand guy, this little guy named Donnie. He emceed the show for me while I was gone for a month. It was the first time I took off, too, in 15, 16 years or whatever it was. Yeah. So I left, and I did, for the first time, I spent a month concentrating on myself. And I said, all right, I'm never going to have this time again. Let me dive in and just concentrate on myself and see what happens. And it was incredible. I worked on my brain. I did therapy for the first time. I did guided meditations for the first time. And I'll rephrase that. It wasn't the first time I did therapy. It was the first time I took it seriously.
Okay.
And I really liked and enjoyed the people I was working with and trusted them, which is a big deal when you're dealing with your brain.
Yeah.
So it just felt amazing. And I remember going into one session with this guy who did tapping. You ever hear tapping?
Oh, yeah.
It's a little complicated to explain for me to people. Do you want to explain what it is?
Well, I think it's easier just to kind of do it, just lightly tap different areas of your body if you're curious about it, and you'll notice that you get an effect, and then start looking into it, and you can find different areas of the body that have very specific effects, and it's a whole field really that's worth studying.
Yeah, it's hard. I can only do it where I'm guided by a teacher at this point still, and it's just a couple of years into it because it's complicated, but it really worked. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. But I went into the session with the guy, and I remember walking in the room and looking around, and the sun was out, but everything was dark, and it was like a bad dream. And I walk in, and I remember just having a complete mental breakthrough, and I come out, and the birds are chirping, and it's sunny, and I was just happy again. And when the weight just flew off, I worked on my brain while I was there. I worked on my soul, and then the body just came naturally. I think I lost 60 pounds in a month there. But,
wow.
I was perfectly eating, raw vegan. I was off sleeping pills in a week. And I just got incredibly healthy. And then I went back to Vegas. I quit my show, and my buddy who was the president of the hotel, he's like, you have the best deal. You're crazy. You can't quit. I'm like, dude, look at me. I can't even fit in the chair. And I couldn't even fit in the chair I was talking to him with.
Yeah.
So I quit the show. We did a year to get out and slow the shows down and everything. And then I moved to LA, and I just started doing consulting, and I got just incredibly healthy. I dropped 240 pounds, but I didn't finish it. I looked great, mm-hmm. but I was still chubby. That chubby way you say, oh, this guy's fat, but I wasn't skinny. And I just kind of coasted for a couple of years. I did consulting. I had a great career, and I have a great career. It's awesome. But, I really got to finish it off, which I've been doing during quarantine. When quarantine started, I said, you know what, now's the time better than ever to get happy and healthy and really get focused. And especially during these hard times, the best way to deal with it, and the best way to deal with anything that's trauma or, any problem rather, is, be your happy and healthiest self. If your mind's clear, you can make really sharp and clear decisions. And if your body's clean, your brain loves you and rewards you with giving you the best thoughts and, happiness.
Have you found that you're almost like a different person? It sounds like you have different habits, kind of a new way of approaching life in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm a completely different person than I used to be.
So what is that? It's really difficult from where I'm standing for a lot of people to make that transition from being the jovial big guy or whatever and joking around, not caring about anything, to being chastised for drinking smoothies and electrolyte drinks and or fasting or getting or eating vegetables in public or whatever? Like, how do you make that transition?
I would say, whether people chastise me, I don't give a but yeah, I mean, some people hit me up on DM, like, stop posting, health stuff and this and that. But I don't care, it's like, it's funny to me. It's like a fat, miserable friend of mine, like, all right, dude, sorry, that's in your head. You'll get out of that eventually. And hopefully I get to change you by you seeing all my healthy posts. But if you don't, it's not, I live my life and you live yours and it's all good.
Yeah.
But, I was in a different world, but it's like anything else. You lose a couple fans, you gain another 100.
Mm-hmm.
And those 100 you gain are going to be super fans, So I might lose people where people don't want to, play with me because I'm not, I'm not drinking and partying and doing drugs and, being crazy. All right, it's cool. That's your world. You can go do what you want to do. I'm going to go in this happy, healthy world because it feels better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to die. I mean, I used to always say in my 20s, I'll be dead by 35. It's all good. I'll die younger. I'll die around the age of Belushi, or Farley, and it'll be all good. I'll have a sick career. And I had I had an epic career,
Yeah.
And I lived an incredibly extreme, fun life, and that fun life almost killed me. So I just had to make a pivot and a change, and I'm in this healthy life now, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing, and it's really fun too. It's just a different life,
Yeah.
I go to sleep now without sleeping pills. That's a big deal for me. I took sleeping pills on and off for years, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And during COVID, I haven't taken sleeping pills.
It's really important.
So I'm really proud of that. And I haven't drank. So no drugs, no alcohol. I'm couldn't be prouder and happier of myself with that one.
No, I couldn't either. Do you think, I wonder how much of that is getting out of that environment of being around a bunch of people who are partying, you're staying up late and doing shows and stuff like that. For me as a musician, sometimes I'd go on stage at 12:30, 1:30 in the morning, right? And just have to go and wail for a while. And it's pretty hard to tune down from that, get sleep, recover, and have your life in order if you're living that lifestyle. So I'm curious, I
think it is right now, I think it has a lot to do with it. I'm still not strong enough to be in that environment for a long period of time
mm-hmm.
and not break and drink and whatnot.
Right.
So if I go to a party now, not now, but pre-COVID, if I go to a party or an event, I like to bounce it out. People are like, dude, you're only here for 20 minutes. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, yeah, because I just don't want to be around it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go in for 20, 30 hour, where I used to stay all night, and I'll pop in, pop out, say hello to people and bounce because I can't be in that environment right now. And, maybe that changes in the next year, 2 years, 5 years. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't ever change. Maybe I just can't be in those environments anymore. Time will tell. But right now I'm fine. I go into an event. My goal is always to be, with COVID, it's a different thing. But when the world resumes and there's events and things, my goal is always to be asleep by 11, 12 o'clock, where it used to be, 4 or 5 o'clock. And I used to sleep till noon too. And I was on a crazy schedule like that.
You have to. I mean, you have no other option, really. But from everything I've learned since, when I used to do that pretty often, just by function of having gigs, because that's when they were, right? You learn that the circadian rhythm of your body is really disrupted by that sort of behavior, and that massive amount of drinking starts to add up. What I've learned also, though, is that some of the fittest people I know are also still able to have 1 or 2 beers every once in a while, or sometimes even exceed that and find some amount of balance where it doesn't have to be this totally Spartan. You're either having a lot of fun and going out with friends and partying or whatever, or you're doing zero fun and zero partying and you're in this Spartan health person lifestyle. It doesn't have to be like that either. So I'm curious how you've adjusted your way of eating as the time has gone on, as you've had the weight come off. Have your cravings changed and your habits? What does that look like?
Yeah, look, my cravings of course changed, and how do I explain this? So my diet during the quarantine was, in the beginning, I was just doing protein shakes and green powder shakes and eating a salad of sprouts and throwing some fake vegan meat, on top of it. And, and then everyone would DM me saying it's not healthy and this and that, but it was great. It was great for me. And then I was losing, a lot of weight, a couple pounds a week. And then, I was getting a little more hungrier. So then I went and ordered from a supermarket, crazy me, and just start cleaning off the vegetables. So I would get a whole bunch, deliveries and get watermelons and oranges and grapefruits and all these vegetables and fruits. And then I would just start eating a lot more. And I don't even count calories or anything. I just eat when I'm hungry. I eat, and I just eat good stuff, and once or twice a week I eat fattening vegan food, fake cheese and fake eggs and, stuff like that. So
have you experimented with meal timing or intermittent fasting, eating windows, that sort of thing?
I have, and it works. It's hard. You got to keep a regimen and stuff. It works. Yeah. And I've done juicing. I've done green juicing diets. That works too. I've done, where I juice 1 day a week, to give the system a break. That works well too.
It's cool. It sounds like what you're doing is just kind of like sampling different things in this health nut world, which is endless. You know what I mean? It's like you can find endless little fun things to learn about, distract yourself with, new things to cook. What's it look like for you in the kitchen? Are you preparing a lot of your own food?
The kitchen is like half the kitchen's vitamins and supplements. And
it's worth saying that. Mine too. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so it's that I got that going on. And then, it's like, I'm learning about the kitchen. You gotta understand, I've also lived in hotels for 20 years. So like, I never had a kitchen, and this isn't an exaggeration. Like I had a hotel and then a house. Like I didn't like occasionally I rented a house or like I had a house on a lake in Vegas or a condo, but for the most part, I lived in hotels for 20 years almost. So, that's no kitchen. I didn't exercise. Occasionally, like once a quarter, I'd go down to the treadmill or something, in a hotel gym. But yeah, I'm learning how to cook. Like I'm like a Iceman that was like frozen in time and like came out in 2020, like I don't know. I mean, from relationships, like I'm learning all that because I didn't have relationships in the hotels. Like, I'd date or hang out, I'd party, but it was nothing serious, and, so from that to food, I'm learning everything right now. I'm like an 18-year-old again. It sounds crazy, but it really is when it comes to my personal life. My work was always like that. My work, I'm on top of the world and I crush it. But my personal life, I'm 18 years old again. So I'm learning how to cook. I'm learning how to eat. I'm learning how to interact. I didn't know how to like quarantine for me. Like I just learned everything. Like I never put stuff together inside a house. I'm putting stuff together. I'm dealing with my jacuzzi doesn't work because it's an old jacuzzi. I gotta change the drain myself because I don't want people in the house, and like everything from the garage to the fence outside to the stuff inside to a garden. I got, I planted sprouts and I planted lemon trees, and I got to water the garden, and then I got to cut the garden, and then my gym's in the backyard, so I don't want people back there right now. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
But it gives you a lot of confidence at the same time, right? That you can be self-reliant, that you can learn new things. Like I know I don't like it when things break, and my dad kind of did. I grew up in that house where he loved fixing stuff and was doing that all the time. I'm not really like that, but when something breaks and I'm forced to fix it, I feel really good about myself,
I do, and I love it. I literally love it. And I'm not complaining about it. I'm just stating it, what I'm doing, and it's cool. It's been like school for me. And I watch YouTube videos, which I never did. And, and I learn on YouTube. I watch it on TV. Like I didn't even use the TV for YouTube or Netflix. Netflix was on my phone. Now I'm using it on the TVs. And it sounds stupid and so silly, but to me, these are huge deals for me.
I'm curious about your take on what online entertainment looks like compared to in-person entertainment. Like, what are you noticing just like being forced into this all pretty much online world now?
I love being forced into it because, I was very hesitant I'm an old school kind of guy. Like I ran live theaters, and not just live theater. I ran the most fun, coolest live theaters in the world, and when I had my Beaches Madhouse theaters, they would always number one wherever they were. And, going from live theater, like I didn't even do TV when I had the theaters. I never did a TV show. I never did live TV because TV to live are two different things also.
Totally.
You know, so I knew that, and I was like, I don't want to do it. But now it's like with the influencers, how big they are, and social media, people are used to looking at videos and the way things are edited. It's just all different. So like, you know, everyone has to do it now. So people are going to get very used to it very quickly. It's like when you hear a new song and from an XYZ artist, then it sucks. And you're like, this song sucks. But they play it a million times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this song's good. Because, you know, it's the same thing as these videos and these influencers. Like, I come from a time, you know, it's like if you're a Star Wars fan, it's like the old Jedi. It's like I come from a time with live and interaction and personality, and it's all important. It's not really important anymore. So you just got to accept it. And like, it's about marketing. It's about editing. It's about, you know, that's just the new world. That's what it is. So you can keep talking about how great it was in the past, but the past is over.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to adapt to the new world. Like my buddy Jeff Ross, the comedian, you know who he is?
Yeah.
So Jeff, he's one of the best comedians in the world. He's a roast master, and we came up with this concept right when quarantine started. I was like, Jeff, you got to do an Instagram roast called Insta Roast, where you're roasting people. He's like, that's a brilliant idea. I'm going to start it. You know, let's start it this weekend. So I produce it with him, and it's all virtual. You know, he goes on Instagram Live. People come on. He ranks on them. It's amazing. You know. And, you know, sponsors are coming on now, and, you know, that's him. He adapted because he's one in a billion. You know, comedians, even the funniest in the world, they don't have that ranking. You know, it's a very few skill set that have that. Very few people that have that skill set. And it's perfect for him. He's been branded like that for 25 years, you know? So, you know, he figured it out. Not everyone's figured out how to, you know, to adapt.
Right, because doing comedy and satire, especially online, is harder than ever because of censorship, shadow banning, like all these issues with not being able to use certain words on certain platforms and various things like that. So I'm curious about your take on the future of free speech, free thought, especially around comedy, because like if we want it to be online and exist in a way that actually isn't just poop jokes or whatever all the time, then we're going to have to be a little bit more lax than most of the technocrats are being right now.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, you just adapt. I think you just work in whatever the new formulas and systems are, so you can keep going and thriving and growing. And, you know, it sucks, but it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
I think people are going to be forced to, you know, survive to do whatever the new norm is. You know, if the new norm is working at, you know, performing in your living room for the next year or your basement, then that's what's going to happen. And, you know, there's so much where you can, like, we were launching a bunch of theaters in about a year and a half. And, you know, we can now do it from home, and you can make the backdrop, you know, on a JPEG, and you can still do it, you know. And you can actually reach more people. Like with Jeff, we're reaching, you know, if he was to do an arena or a Coliseum, you know, it's 20, 40,000 people, right? And that's a big deal to sell out and the production and all that. We're reaching that with one Instagram Live.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing. It really
is. You know,
is.
And he's roasting people all over the globe. Yeah. You know, Jeff Ross roasts the globe. So it's a lot of fun.
Did they sign up to be roasted, or is he just like burning people left and right?
We could get you on this weekend.
No, I'm not asking about me. I'm just curious. Like, is he going and burning whoever?
He just picks people. It's hard. That's why I like paused for a second, because we've had a really hard time. We even spoke to Instagram yesterday, and they're trying to figure it out too, because everyone's having the same problem. We can't find, like, The Rock called in. You know, all his buddies, like Mayer, all those guys called in, and they were texting, and you just couldn't find the request and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. Like, with all these different platforms that set up their own little multiple inboxes and stuff like that, it is super hard to communicate and keep it all straight online, and not, you know, I've put out some snarky stuff and made jokes, and then you're attacked because people make the wrong assumptions about what that means. In a live setting, you can kind of like deal with hecklers and you look them in the eye. Online, it's not like that. A lot more cowardly stuff starts happening. So how do you envision like the future of that?
you got to just get over it and not give a you know, I'm perfectly in the middle. Like I started really giving a when I started doing corporate consulting. I worked for the biggest, smartest, most brilliant unicorn founders on the planet, and I worked for the biggest companies, and I had multi-year contracts, and I love those guys, but the companies, it's just not a good fit for me at that level. Like I'm good when I'm outside the company and I bring stuff in, but being in the company where it's literally they make everyone a mold, and you have to be in that mold, and you have to be that. That's not me. I'm not a molded guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like to float in and out. And, you know, I call it like, it was like, became like Silicon Valley to me became a joke because it was like, I made a list of buzzwords. I'm not even exaggerating or joking with this. I made a list of buzzwords because I'd be in meetings and people would talk, and this is lower level people, you know, they would talk and they would say things, and you sit there and you're like, as someone who's one of the most brilliant marketing people on the planet, and I'm sitting there across from someone using buzzwords and they don't even know what they're talking about.
Right.
So I would take out my list and I would use core values and all the words that they would use and throw it back at them. And I would literally not even, I did this all the time. I make up a paragraph using just buzzwords.
Right.
But if I wasn't using the phone right now, I'd take out the list because it's so funny. And I go down the list and I tie them all together and I throw it back at them and I go, all right, what are next steps? And I would do that in every meeting. And then people would be like, all right. And that would end the meeting. Right?
You're such a consultant right now.
You know, but that's what it would turn to. And then I would just go execute done.
Yeah.
And be like, these meetings are killing. And that's what Silicon Valley, and it wasn't fun after the first 2-3 years. It wasn't fun anymore.
Right.
And so that, I don't even know where I'm going on this tangent, but that was what consulting became to me. So I personally said to myself, I was like, you know what? I want to, like with the health business and being healthy, I'm going to turn that into a business. So I started, so like big consulting checks and all that, that's all going to be on hold for a long time. You know, people are going to get fractions of what they were making with everything going on until people know where the money is and what's going on and all that. So I was like, you know what, I want to get into brands and things that I really believe in, people I love working with. We launched this vegan ice cream, and this was before the pandemic. And my buddy Craig, and he owns the coolest restaurant in town, and he's got a whole vegan menu, and everyone loves eating there, and it's celebrity packed. And so we launched the vegan ice cream, and it killed it during the pandemic. We literally killed it. A vegan chocolate that's made from all organic, you know, vegan products, like this thing called chocolate. And like, so I just got involved in all these companies, and that's kind of where like my life's going. I want to be healthy. I want to own products that help people, products that help make people healthier. And I want to help teach what I learned. I want to also extract what I learned out of my brain. Like this interview is helping me like figure out everything, because I never formulated what I did. I never really organized it, because I get hundreds a month of people hitting me up. Can you talk to me? Can you talk to my brother? Can you talk to my friend? They're 400 pounds and 500 pounds. What can you do? And I had a system at first, and it wasn't working. This has been going on for a couple of years. And then I went to a friend of mine who runs rehab centers. And I'm like, what am I doing? He's like, you don't have a group. And he's like, a group help. When people are in a group, they're more accountable. They help each other. So then I started putting everyone together in a group unofficially. And then I got great results. Now I have like over 100 people that I've helped that I lost 100 pounds, 200 pounds. Yeah. So we have a small beecher army out there of people that lost a lot of weight, you know, and I got some people that are really, sorry for cursing again, some people that really screwed up and I don't know how to help them. You know, I'll convince them to get the stomach surgery, because that's a great tool too. And, you know, so and like the stomach surgery, like I'll teach people with that. Like if you go get that first, you have to then go work on your head. Because with me, I worked on my head, which enabled me a year later to get the stomach surgery and not go back to being fat. Because a lot of people get the surgery, they lose weight, and they gain it back. The surgery just gives you a window of a year and a half to really go fix your and like if you get your stuff together while you have that stomach cut, then you're golden, because you can trick the stomach surgery. You can still gain weight. You can drink liquor. You can drink fattening smoothies. You can drink milkshakes. You can eat ice cream. You can gain weight. So it gives you an opportunity to change what goes in your system, get healthy, and then fix your brain. which is the key to all weight loss.
Yeah. And giving yourself that self motivation, which I find comes from doing things yourself. And for me, I'd be curious to hear your take on this, because I've gone through this journey of starting by doing everything myself, from the show and the business and the websites and programming and researching and performing and all that, to being able to outsource a few years ago many of those things and forget how to use the new platforms and forget how to or never even know how to do certain things, and kind of siphon yourself off into the more like public figure or celebrity or entertainer category, where you're essentially living at hotels in some ways of your life, right? Like you put your blinders on, you forget how to do things. What I've learned in the past couple of years is I really appreciate, sometimes it's hard and really frustrating, but doing those things myself, like being able to fix your drain, no matter how much money you have or how big you are or whatever. And I think there's this illusion still throughout society that celebrities and influencers live above this golden platform and it's nothing but rainbows and life is wonderful because you've reached this place, when in fact it's not quite like that. So I'd just be curious around your own personal experience throughout your own life, but also some of the people that you've seen, because I know a lot of them are pretty high level players.
A lot of people do get to that place where it is delusional. And, I lived that world for a long time where even pre-quarantine, up to quarantine, like just setting up, like I just bought this new house, right? Nice, humble, small house and top of Beverly Hills. And, it was supposed to get redone. And they started redoing it. And then I got quarantined like 10 days before everyone else got quarantined because a bunch of my friends got the virus. Mm-hmm. So we thought I had it, me and my doctor. So I literally stayed in quarantine in this unfinished house. And I have another rental house that a buddy of mine and I stay at. And I didn't want to be around him. And he didn't understand this virus thing. No one really understood it yet. So I came to the unfinished house I just bought and I moved in. I literally lost my mind. Like a lot of people are during this. And, luckily I knew how to get out of mental breakdowns, which we can get into in a minute, but I'm going to get into the house part of it. So I'm in this house that's unfinished and I'm used to living this, luxurious lifestyle where everything's catered and I don't deal with anything. And I just deal with my social life and work. And now I'm inside a house and I got to really learn the house, from the sink that broke 4 times to the dishwasher that I had to have replaced, to the garage door that I had to have fixed. I mean, you take a checklist of the house, lights, plugs, cable, everything I had to fix with someone on the phone, stay on hold for hours, stuff I haven't done my entire life.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So I learned every aspect of the house, literally every aspect of my house. I've learned how to do and fix. Even just last night, I used, for the first time, I used the bathtub jacuzzi and the water's still in it. So I got to replace the drain and I got to screw out the thing. So I watched an hour of videos last night, on how to fix this tub and the whatever thing is you turn up and down. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah.
That is the tub. And so I gotta, that's my project for the weekend. Hopefully it'll only take a half an hour, but.
Yeah, that's awesome. But so do you prefer this or being on a pedestal, not knowing anything?
No, I like this. It's great. I mean, I like it a lot. I got my expenses down to nothing. And I'm eating a whole foods based, vegan diet, and it's amazing. And I'm doing everything myself for the most part, at the house, and it's great. It feels great. It's easy. It's not a lot of pressure. I don't know people around me. I'm not getting stressed managing or anything like that. It's been really liberating and really a great feeling.
Yeah, one weird thing that's interesting about this is that I was talking to one person who's another author, and he said that maybe this time actually isn't that weird. Everyone says this is such a weird time, and in some ways it definitely is. But what he was saying is that in history, we were all kind of just shut inside of our own house and had to have a garden and fix the stuff that broke and know how to do that and build our own just kind of skills of self-reliance and liberty, and also learn how to get along with each other in ways that maybe we could have outrun if we were traveling all the time or working all the time and not really in the same close quarters with each other. So this actually could be, in some ways, a more historically accurate way of living and existing with other people. But whatever the case, a giant reset button is being pushed right now, and we're going to have to find our way out of this. So I'm curious for you as an entertainer and as a person who wants to get out there in health, like, what are you looking at and what are you hoping for in the next few years?
Well, in the next few years, I think everything will kind of, pretty much get back to normal. I think you have a good year and a half where it's going to be a little bit weird, a little bit different, not weird, different. And, people are just going to be figuring out, like, just like Jeff Ross figured out with his Instagram roast, people are going to be figuring out what to do, and how do you pivot? Restaurants are going to figure out what to do. My buddy that owns the restaurant, I keep talking about Craig's, he was one of the few restaurants in LA that stayed open, and he's doing, I think, I don't know the exact number, but they're doing almost as many dinners as they would when they were packed and open every night.
Wow. Yeah.
Because he pushed through it. His team was dedicated and loyal, and he's loyal to everyone. And he really cared about the community. He cares about the community. So, like, that restaurant thrived during this, where unfortunately probably half the restaurants are going to go out of business.
Yeah.
You can't, with a lot of the government, including, didn't factor in, like, they gave all this relief, but a lot of restaurants didn't get the relief. And then on top of it, if you're a small mom and pop shop or even a big one and you close, to restock that restaurant costs $100,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So forget about the employees and all that for a second. $100,000 to restock it. Then you got to remarket it. What is that going to cost? Then you got to relaunch it. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's really hard on people, and that's just a restaurant. What about a theater? You want to say you own a theater in Vegas and there's 500 seats. Your numbers are based on doing over 300, 350 to break even. If you have to sit every other seat, you're 250. You have to sit every third seats, which is probably going to be, you're losing money even on a sold out day. So it's the math doesn't make sense for a lot of businesses for the next year or two.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not really sure what the way forward is, except for we've got to adapt. And as entertainers, that's what, at least musicians and a lot of artists and entertainers, performers do their entire careers, because, you have a show for a while and then that shuts down or doesn't work out, right? You go to the next thing and you focus on the next thing. And so I would love, we only have a couple minutes left, but I would love for you, Jeff, to maybe just get on your soapbox a little bit and try to convince some other people who have done really well for themselves, had successful careers, and are fortunate enough to be able to pick out maybe where they want to go next, that next career, and just try to push them into the realm of health, because we need it so badly right now.
Well, that's what I'm doing. My show I showed Crazy for 20 years. I showed Crazy, and it was a lot of fun. And, I wish we were friends then, because you would love Crazy Beecher, and you would love the Crazy Show. And I'm even going to do them when you're allowed to have a party of 200-300 people. Yeah. I'm going to do them because everyone's asked me to do it for fun.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'll be sober during it, and I'll be healthy, and I'll have crazy people running it, so that how to make fun. But so you'll be able to enjoy it if you ever come visit. So,
beautiful. I would love that.
So what the Beecher Health Show is going to be, my final show. This is going to be what I'm going to do for the next 100 years. And I'm really excited about it. I'm going to start a group, officially start a group where there's a website and an app, and, give away free books and teach people how to, fix their body and their mind so they can both work together to get really healthy, because everyone's going to really need to be healthy, mind, body, and soul going into this next year or two of change, because change is hard. It's really hard in a lot of people to pivot and change and say, all right, I've done this for my whole life this way. Well, now you got to change, and you got to do it a different way, and you got to figure out that way. And to get people to get to that place where they accept it, it's really hard. There's books on it. There's people that take, to change a company's thinking and the way they do business. People were all in an office. Now they got to be on phones and be happy with it. And, it's a lot of work. Yeah. So I'm not looking to get into changing cultures at work and doing all that stuff. I really wanted to change the people and let them work on that. So I want to help people lose weight, get healthy. I forever, I wanted to own a brewery. Right. And I had a batch of this beer made, this light beer, because people are going to drink no matter what, even though I'm not drinking. And I love beer. So I made a light beer, and it was 100 calories or less, and it was gluten-free, gluten-reduced, and da-da-da-da. we're making a virgin beer, whatever the word is. What's the
Cool.
word? Non-alcoholic beer.
Near beer. Yeah, there are a lot of names for it. I like near beer the best.
Yeah, and so we're making one of those, and we had this batch come in, and it came in the beginning of the whole quarantine, and I said, you know what, just sell the beer and give all the money to mental health. So we're going to donate all the money, 100%, not even like the net proceeds and the people do, like just, put all the money into mental health,
Cool.
a charity.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, just doing stuff like that. And I don't really have a plan, like the full plan, but I just know I'm doing it and I'm working on it and I'm going to figure it out. And that's the new Beecher show.
Right on, man. Well, we are out of time now, but what's the best place to find you, Jeff, and the new Beecher show and all the other stuff you're working on?
I don't know. It's still all over the place.
Working on it.
You go to my Instagram at Jeff Beecher, JeffBeacher. You go to the same JeffBeacher.com, and that'll take you, to all my different stuff.
Right on. So all you people listening out there, I think it's important that we look at different perspectives. We look at different people who have been through the ringer in their own way. And I can speak to helping other people lose 100, 200 plus pounds, but I have never been there myself. So if you are, and a lot of more people than ever are there, talk to Jeff and talk to people like Jeff and get in touch, because like what I've noticed is, especially once people like make that transition into health, it's a very generous transition. And we're doing it because we want to help people and connect with people and kind of pull them over to this side, the survivors. You know what I mean?
Yeah. DM me on Instagram. I'll gladly get you on the makeshift program we got right now, and and we'll put you in the big program when we launch it.
That's awesome, Jeff. Thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, Abel. I appreciate it, pal.
Hey, folks, this is Abel James, creator of the Fat Burning Man Show and New York Times bestselling author, and I just wanted to make a quick video for you about Mega Omegas from Wild Superfoods, our family company. And this is a wild deep sea fish oil with a combination of other high quality fats. We've got omega 3, 6, 7, and 9 fatty acids. With as well, you've got a source of EPA and DHA. And so one of the ways that I like to take Mega Omegas, you take 2 capsules at a time. Sometimes I'll take 3 as the base, the fat to take with fat-soluble nutrients. As well, it's just a wonderful daily supplement for us, especially being out in Colorado and traveling a lot or being on the road. It's difficult to find a high-quality source of fresh and clean fish oil. So in case you're curious about what it sounds like or looks like, let's just open it up for you right now. We'll do an official unboxing. This, once again, is Mega Omegas from Wild Superfoods. And you can tell we're at elevation by the sound of this opening up here. So we have these soft gels, which you can see are on the larger side. So, if you are trying to give this to a small child, I wouldn't recommend it. These are too big. If you have trouble with pills that are this size, you can see them in my hand, then Mega Omegas might not be the right one for you. But for us, even my wife, she's quite a bit smaller than me. We've been taking these, no problem to swallow 1 or 2 at a time. I even swallow sometimes 4 at a time. And these have been a really reliable source for us of these high quality fats, especially the deep sea fish oil when we're on the road. We're often landlocked, and getting seafood that's not quite fresh is not an enjoyable experience. One other quick thing about Mega Omegas compared to other fish oils out there is that many fish oils give you fish burps, or they taste fishy, or they smell fishy, and that's something that we've really made sure doesn't happen with Mega Omegas. So, once you've had fish burps, you don't want to go back to that lifestyle. And we're thankfully, that's in the rearview mirror once you embrace the Wild Superfoods way with Mega Omega. So once again, this is Abel. Thank you so much for your consideration and for checking this out. Wild Superfoods, you can always find it at wildsuperfoods.com. And this is Mega Omegas. Thanks again. We'll be in touch. Well, hey there, listener. This is Abel one more time, and I just want to say thank you for listening to this episode of The Fat Burning Man Show. If you liked it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button wherever you might be listening to or watching this show right now. And if you have a second, please leave me a quick review for The Fat Burning Man Show. I read every single one of them, and every time you leave a review, it gives us a little boost in the rankings, and that helps other people find this show. And if you can think of someone else who might enjoy and benefit from this free show, please take a second to share it with a friend or a family member. And if they're like, what is this Fat Burning Man thing? That's a really silly name. You could be like, you're right, but here's the deal. We've recorded over 250 episodes of The Fat Burning Man Show with thought leaders in health from all over the world. And so far, we've won 4 awards, hitting #1 in health in more than 8 countries internationally. We have more than 30 million downloads already, but we're just getting started. I can't believe any of this, by the way, and couldn't do any of this without you, so thanks once again. But here's some more good news. You can download and listen to every single episode of The Fat Burning Man Show for free with 0 outside advertisements, no outside sponsors, and no corporate overlords. All you have to do is type in fatburningman.com. We'll give you a second here just to type it in, fatburningman.com. And you'll get all the show notes, transcripts, and video and audio versions for all the past episodes of The Fat Burning Man Show for free. Better yet, enter your email at fatburningman.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I'll even send you a quick start guide so you can take your health into your own hands right now, along with a few of our ridiculously tasty recipes as a special thanks for signing up. Once again, just go to fatburningman.com right now, enter your best email to get your free goodies with a bonus surprise straight to your inbox. This is Abel James signing off. Thank you so much for listening once again, and have a great week.